When you think about Burroughs' life, his grandfather invents a counting machine, and he's set.
Would you all like to see exactly what Burroughs has to be proud of?
He has an allowance, and he makes the most of it. He has a good time.
Talk at random and cut in a phrase.
He spends a great deal of time getting addicted to morphine and traveling and stuff like that. He gets married and divorced, but he doesn't appear to have a serious direction. His common-law wife, Joan, and he are in Mexico, and he shoots her in a drunken game of William Tell. Ultimately, he leaves Mexico and is convicted in absentia and is, has a 2-year suspended sentence or something like that. Which seems awfully lenient, like he got away with murder, kind of. But I think Burroughs would say he didn't get away with anything, because
Silver arrow through the night.
his view was that he was being possessed.
Yes, hello.
Yes. Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Yes.
LA
Hello.
reinforcements,
Yes.
identity and passports are middle.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Your cool hand, don't you think it's dollars, baby?
And that he spent all these years of his life trying to escape that possession. And even when he felt he was escaping it, it was always just around the corner, not quite escaped. He hasn't quite removed it from his life. To the point where he eventually tries to have it exorcised.
Picture to a fellow agent and say, here.
And I think that's key in understanding his interest in the occult, much of his work, because possession's about a loss of control. And he's feeling, for once in his life, that he can't escape it.
Look at that picture.
Daddy's money isn't good enough.
Good, it seemed to be persisting.
Something is controlling him. And it's also when he realizes that he's going to be a writer.
Good. How does it seem to you now?
He's really has no choice but to be a writer. And his view of it was he had to write because it was through writing that he could escape possession. He was writing his way out of it.
Bobo has the future, a fine, vigorous pig.
This is magic. This is spell work with words. A very long, many-year incantation. Even his other experiments involve breaking up perception
My blood, whom I created.
and attacking the perceived reality.
Tapeworms.
As a magician trying to control their universe.
Blessed be he who spares galaxies. Who is speaking? Both their voices. Crackling paper without names. Went out and green.
Where are we now?
Then took a scissors and cut these.
Through words or through images or through sound, he was doing that. And it all stems from this moment of feeling possessed, feeling controlled, and trying to get that control back. He's writing himself out of possession.
Yes, hello.
He's trying to gain control. He's feverishly doing this drug-induced, creative, destructive, chaotic, yet
Canadian beans.
life-creating, because you're creating something new out of this chaos, out of this destructive cut-up process. And he's a mess too. How is this escaping possession? My opinion, it's not that dissimilar than a willful disruption of one's senses,
Gentlemen.
This is operational even to the cucumbers.
breaking up the habit, the pattern, the rigidity of a learned consciousness, and seeing what, if you destroy that, what the consciousness becomes. Something that's not predicted, something that you haven't kept telling yourself is reality. He's destroying himself and destroying his reality, and something comes out of that. And it's very initiatory. It's an annihilation. It's a shaking up of the Etch-a-Sketch of your consciousness so that something else can be there. It's breaking down the walls of the temple so that it can be rebuilt a new way. It's burning down the tower and then building it up again. And it's very destructive. And it could have killed him.
Where are we now?
As he said, language is a virus. Words are the things that we say and we hear and we read, and our brain says that's a real thing, but it's a construct. He destroyed the construct.
I rub out all the words and reports of the Lord.
And a new construct, it has to be built so that you can have something to perceive, but what is replacing that? I'd like to think he eventually was feeling like he was getting control of whatever the demon he thought was possessing him. He had said in a few places, people keep trying to tell me that it's like a psychological thing and it's inside me, but I don't know why people can't accept the idea that maybe it is outside me, and what's the difference between inside me and outside me anyway?
After all, he's been a medium all his life.
And that's just the kind of stuff you'd start to think if you actually go through this kind of process. If you're actually trying to destroy this edifice that you feel possesses you.
Yes? Hello?
Whether he's writing about the control of a dealer over a junkie, a lover over another, a doctor over a patient, the government over its citizens.
Are these the words of the all-powerful?
It's about control.
Green shit deals with craftsmen.
Perhaps having lost control,
Hello.
even to the point that he's drunkenly shooting his wife, it occurs to him the importance of control and how it's everywhere.
Sold out do shit forever.
It became something not just to think about or talk about, but something to do. And this compulsively needing to write, to communicate,
Cowards and collaborators
is interesting, because he's admitting he doesn't have control over it. He has to do it. And yet I think it's a way to get control, to escape this possession he thinks he has. And he ends up writing about control situations and attacking how control is used. The powerful controlling the powerless.
protect us from our
How words can control people and how images can control people.
sold out do shit forever.
And then he plays with word order, and he plays with images, and he plays with editing movies and mixing the order of things up. He's out of control. He plays with being out of control. He's seduced by things that make him out of control. And then he fights control and devises experiments to attack ways that the seeming order that's expected controls people.
Such people made in Paris, 1961.
In addition to what I see as a focus on the idea of control through Burroughs' work and his life, is an understanding of a magical world that's just outside of normal perception, and ways to get to it. There are techniques, there are methods, there are technologies, and many of them involve the arts in a profound way, and I think that's not by mistake, that helps you get to that magical world, for want of a better way of describing it, where symbols are alive. The thing is, symbols are alive now. We just take them as concrete. We take them as inert. That's how they trick us, because we go, that's just a symbol, but it's affecting you on many levels. And when you break up that rigid way of looking at things, they can come alive and you can feel that they're real. And I think you get on that level that they're working on in a more clear way, perceptively. Like you can perceive, whether it's, I've heard it described as being between being awake and being asleep. It's like, it could be like lucid dreaming, but it's that place in between where the symbols are alive and you're still consciously aware of what you're doing. How do you manipulate something subconscious consciously? Because that's where that magic is. And those are real technologies that are used all the time. One of the ideas in cutting up text is that it can reveal something that is there that you wouldn't see normally. Well, it comes from Brian Geisen. And essentially it's taking writing, cutting it up, and randomly creating other sentences. And that would almost seem the antithesis of control, right? It's ironic that a technique for gaining control over the word order and the seeming existence of things that are in an order is to randomly make them disordered and then create another order out of it.
In his role as shaman,
But it shows
he is doctor,
the preeminence
psychiatrist,
in the process of an editor
magician,
who then takes what has randomly,
and leader.
seemingly, that's the big one too, randomly formed and edits it as a new thing,
He is the last link in an unbroken chain,
scrambling the word order, attacking the current order.
credited with the ability to transport human beings to realms of consciousness where telepathy and clairvoyance are commonplace.
I guess it was called the word board when he was in Tangiers, and he was a mess, but creatively, compulsively drug-fueled.
His whole body is a pulsating hum of energy.
But violently creating all of these words and cutting them up and trying to create a chaos out of which a different order could come out of.
He has
Is what
been
I would
seen as a
think,
prince,
whether he was conscious of it or
a
not.
peasant, a private,
Eventually, with the help of friends, they help him put it
a dog,
into forms that could be books.
A pebble.
And actually, he gets, I guess, about 3 books out of it.
a pitchfork.
The first one being Naked Lunch. And of course, it's very controversial, and some people say it's obscene and all of this. But the themes of control are all through the book. And it's cut up, makes the reader aware of what's being said. It's not a spectacle. It's not just a shocking book with shocking things in it. The very form is shocking. The very form makes you have to perceive it differently than a standard linear telling of the story. It makes you even question what is the story, and that's the freeing part of it. He saw synchronicities in everything. The whole idea of a synchronicity
First a layer of air,
in a magical universe,
then a layer of fire.
there would be, if you see
I am that I am.
things being a coincidence,
I am that I.
well, that means it has no meaning.
Am I?
You know, it's just something that happened.
And it was God
I am.
who controlled the world machine.
am.
But a magical view,
That I am.
that there are underlying things that are hidden,
Yeah.
that make manifest the visible
The
world.
practice of witchcraft has plagued man on this planet since he first used words.
That
Am that I.
things are going to manifest,
He leads my soul to the other side of human dreams.
but it's not
Am I?
clear
That I am, I am.
the causal connection.
That am I
It
am.
may seem random and it may seem
That I am.
coincidental.
Am I?
But at that moment that something coincidental and surprising happens,
That I
that
am.
has some kind of meaning,
I am.
some kind of resonance,
That am I.
has some kind of
Am I?
truth in it,
We have been looking all over the place for human beings.
seems uncanny, then you're approaching a synchronicity. You're approaching something that seems like it shouldn't be connected,
I that am I.
but is. You just don't see the connection.
I am I.
You know, the idea if something bad happens, something is attacking you. If something good happens, it was meant to happen.
Look at these two demons stoking the fire so energetically.
It's
I am I that am.
not coincidental to someone who sees a magical underlying
I am.
universe to everything.
The unconscious imitated
It means something. He did a lot of what I would call ritual work with Geisen.
Does it seem to be persisting? Good, good. Thank you.
And the fact that it involved
Yes, hello.
Yes, hello.
Yes, hello.
Yes,
and the fact that a lot of the work that he was doing with Geisen
Hello.
yes, hello.
involves
Hello.
recording equipment or photography or films,
Yes.
filmmaking,
Hello.
doesn't make it less of a ritual. I think those are all occult activities,
Yes, hello.
Yes,
occult ritual activities. Their purpose was that. He's one of the bigger influences of chaos magic. And he was involved with the IoT, the Illuminants of Thanatos. some have said that he wasn't really a member, or they just made him an honorary member.
Hunger divides
But-
the world. Remember trains?
He is reported to have gone through an initiation, that he was in the ritual as an actual participant. That when he died, he was buried with his membership ring.
April is the last electrician. Tap on the pay.
So that the assertion is that he was a real ritualist. How involved he was with them for a long, like as a real member for a long time, it's hard to say.
Yes. Yeah. Hello. Hello.
But
Yes.
his influence
Hello.
on
Hello.
chaos magic can't be denied. So
Hello.
Yes. Hello. Hello.
a lot of chaos magicians would look at some of what he was doing and see it as
Yes.
Yes.
precursors
Yes.
Oh.
to what they're doing, the work that they're doing.
Hello. Yes.
Well, chaos magic is
Look at that picture.
challenging the power of chaos.
Good. Look at that
In contrast to a more focused technology.
How does it seem to you now? Does it seem to be persisting?
There's a freewheeling aspect to chaos magic.
Hello.
Yeah.
That's part of the energy. That's the creation, the destruction, creation, vortex churning thing that can happen, as opposed to a standard Western ceremonial
Yes.
invocation,
Vulnerable honesty, dog in a leaky light.
evocation,
This is the Mayan paper.
very
Ripping film plate.
a very orderly
Miserable collaborators.
technology.
The oven.
So it's a less
Hello.
orderly
Good.
technology,
Yes.
but it's in that
Thank you.
disorder
Yes.
that things happen.
Helping hand.
Intestinal
It's pretty chaotic to cut up your text
Yes.
Hello.
and then make new sentences out of it.
Hello.
Yes.
And that's the power of it.
Yes.
How does it seem to you now?
Hello.
That's the
Hello.
the obvious opposite of just writing a sentence and agonizing how you want your sentences to be formed.
Yes.
Hell sense of shifting reality.
Telling your story in a very narrative way, and it's very focused. It has a direction.
Feedback device.
It's very chaotic. It's very disorderly to then take that
Hello.
after you've constructed sentences and cut them all up and make new sentences out of it.
Yes. Good.
Imagine taking
Fuck off, Mr. Powers.
that and trying to create something that's more
Hello.
disorderly and almost like a tornado, a vortex. This energy
Hello.
churning out of a chaos, out of
Hello.
a disordered process.
Damned, cursed, he who moves it.
Yes.
There's a power in that too. There's a unexpected,
Brandy neat, Demerol.
surprising
Hello.
number of things that can happen
Hello.
that
Orgasm knife in the heart.
can't ever be predicted
Yes.
and can never be replicated
Is this machine recording?
again
Hello.
necessarily in the same way.
Hello.
That's very different than a scientific
Good. Yes. Hello.
Illuminism,
Thank you.
Aleister Crowley. I'm going to write down a set experiment and then try to repeat it, a repeatable experiment.
Tearing his insides apart.
The very nature of chaos is that it's not orderly, but out of chaos comes order. There's
Anything that can be done chemically can be done in other ways.
I don't know that the goal is disorder.
Well, where he's shadowed.
Just the mechanism is disorder.
Yes.
Trying to use the power of chaos.
Yes.
And my cat's about to knock over your drink. Please don't do that. It was like he was wrestling with a cat. You can't control a cat. And he loved cats. But,
Blue heavy metal people.
it just seems fundamental to everything he was doing.